We're back with the Dedrique Taylor Coaches Show. I'm your host, Brandon Marcus, alongside the head coach of Cal State Fullerton, Dedrique Taylor, joining us if you're watching it on YouTube from what looks like Hawaii. So last time it was the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. Now you're in Hawaii. You're just trying to live vicariously through your Zoom backgrounds. Is that what's going on?
That literally is it. Just changing up the backgrounds to give the people a different look. But I'm in the same place. I'm not moving, not doing nothing. Just because we have the vaccine and I actually got the vaccine, and that doesn't mean anything. I'm still scared of the COVID and trying not to do too much of anything.
Dedrique Taylor, the head coach of Cal State Fullerton. D Taylor Coaches Show at gmail.com is where you can find us. D Taylor Coaches Show at gmail.com. Also, the head coach has his own website, dedricktaylor.com. We'll talk about that in just a second. You mentioned the vaccine, so I'm going to go ahead and actually get straight into that one. You got the Johnson & Johnson, I believe.
I did.
What was that process like? Did you feel anything afterwards? Any skepticism going into it? Obviously, because we're now getting to the point where we're getting close to everybody being able to get a vaccine that basically wants one.
Yeah, I was skeptical at first, of course, because it's new. Everybody is skeptical of anything new, and it was kind of rushed. Also, with the Moderna and the Pfizer, and obviously the Johnson & Johnson. But what little bit of research I did, it made me feel a little bit more comfortable. And then I spoke with a couple of medical people that are in my wheelhouse, and they basically said, just get it. Just get it. It doesn't, it's not that big of a differentiation between the three things that are out there, but it does protect you in one way or the other. And so I basically just listened to them, and the school made it available to us by sending us a letter and saying our staff was available to get the vaccine and let us choose which one we were able to get based on the appointments that were available. And so, with our research, we all chose the Johnson & Johnson just simply because I think it's the newer one, and it supposedly protects against some of the latest strains that we're seeing that are coming from other parts of the world into the country. And so, in a little bit, or in a way, we've tried to deal with that. The funny thing is, I think there are 3 or 4 other guys on our staff that also got the Johnson & Johnson, and they suffered the consequences, some ill effects. I shouldn't say they suffered the consequences. They had some ill effects. They all had headaches. They had the chills. They were really, really tired. And I think for a 24-hour span, they were under the weather. But I wasn't, ironically. I didn't have any issues. My arm was a little sore, and I wouldn't even say it was a little sore. I knew obviously I had a shot, but it wasn't crazy. I did do something that another medical friend of mine told me, that to get on a Tylenol regimen, and kind of, every so often take the Tylenol. And again, I don't know if that alleviates some of the negative effects, but again, I didn't have any issues. But Coach Santos, Coach Johnson, Zui, they all had experienced some negative impact, some negative effects of the Johnson & Johnson. So it was really weird. I pulled up to the convention center, got out of my car, walked down, and they said, "Hey, which one do you want? Are you here for the Johnson & Johnson, the Moderna, or the Pfizer?" And I said Johnson & Johnson. They directed me, and I literally walked and walked and walked, and it wasn't crowded. Stood in line for about 5 minutes, and basically got the shot. They have a 15-minute waiting area, or a waiting area, and you have to wait for 15 minutes to see, if there are any impact or ill effects, and there were none. And basically, they kick you out of there and tell you to go home. That was it.
There you go. And yeah, Johnson & Johnson, the one shot, it's always nice for people that can go and be like one and done, because I actually got the Pfizer one last Friday.
Yeah.
And my arm was sore as hell.
Yeah.
From that night. I mean, you can't lay on that arm.
Yeah.
I mean, it is in pain. And then I worked out the next day, and because I worked out, I was able to get my arm moving.
Sure.
And it didn't bother me after that.
Yeah.
So that's the key, is when you get these vaccines, some words of advice for anybody that's listening or watching wherever you are, whether it's on YouTube or whether it's Apple Podcasts, whether it's Stitcher, wherever, move your arm a lot.
Yeah.
Move your arm a lot, it'll help.
Yeah.
And you most likely won't get a sore, because it could be pretty bad. So obviously 24 hours of having side effects is well worth being protected from a virus that could get you really sick and could get others sick and possibly die. So for sure. I mean,
that's That's what's crazy. One thing I want to say real quick is that with the vaccine, being out there, everybody's available, or a lot of people are available to get the vaccine and so on and so forth. But I've talked to two people that are in my circle really close to me, and they both have gotten they've gotten COVID. I think one guy got his second shot maybe a week ago, but he wasn't fully vaccinated. So he contracted the virus, and he's had a loss of smell and taste, and he just feels tired and those things. And the other guy is in quarantine, and but he has some pre-existing health issues, and so we're praying for those people, and obviously anybody that suffers from the COVID. We want to see everybody do well. So it's still running rampant. It's still available out there, and it's still like you said, it's people, it's still contagious. Just because we have some leeway in terms of being outside, and we have the vaccine, that doesn't mean anything. That only means that supposedly it means that the consequences won't be as bad, but you still can suffer the consequences. So I'm trying not to get it. I'm staying out of the way.
Smart man, smart man. I mean, we're all trying. Once we get it, then we won't be able to pass it on to each other, and
Yeah.
we'll be good. I mean, you look at even Major League Baseball, which opened up today, as I have my Angels tee on.
There you go.
I mean, you look at the Nationals. They had their game postponed today because they've got 3 players, possibly 4, that have COVID, and so because of that, the season opener against the Mets is postponed. They're not going to play tomorrow, and they may not even play the whole series this weekend.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's still impacting sports, and I mean, curious to get your thoughts. I mean, I think I already know them, but I'm gonna ask you anyways. When you see I can't believe I'm blanking on her last name. Kim's her first name, the head coach at Baylor on the women's side.
Yeah. Yeah.
When she comes out and says that they should stop testing because they have the final 4 teams. I mean, slightly ridiculous, right?
I mean, my opinion would be different than hers.
Okay.
I would say continue to test, because again, it's still contagious, and it's still very easily transmitted one from the other. But just because we have the vaccine, or just because we got to a certain point, we have 4 teams, it doesn't stop the virus. It's not, the virus is not man-made, and we're not fighting man. I shouldn't say it's not man-made, but I should say we're not fighting man. We're not fighting anything that we can see, and that's what makes it difficult. Even if you have 4 teams, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Virus still can, as you said just a minute ago. I think it's the Nationals. They got 3, maybe 4 players, and you think those players don't want to play? Yeah, they want to play, but they got the virus. However, they got it, and now all of a sudden it's a different set of circumstances. So I don't necessarily agree with the statement that Coach made, but I will say this: she has probably forgotten more basketball than I'll ever know. So I won't defer to her, but her opinion is her opinion. It's her perspective.
Kim Mulkey, by the way,
Yeah.
is the last name for the head coach at Baylor, which is, I mean, she's done a great job with that program, and they've been unbelievable. They lost, I believe, to UConn
Yeah.
um, a couple days ago. So that obviously, so the Final Four set on the men's side and the women's side. On the men's side, you've got UCLA here locally, which is a monster surprise, at least here in California. It's still crazy. I mean, if it's a surprise here, sure as hell is a surprise on the East Coast, where they've got the East Coast bias. So
Sure.
I mean, we were talking last episode, for anybody that missed it, we went through a bunch of the college basketball teams on the West Coast, and we talked a little about Mick Cronin, and you said how he's a solid coach, and you can see why with this UCLA team.
No, I think you can see easily why UCLA is where they are. They're probably not the traditional UCLA, and not maybe even as talent laden as they've been. But I will say this: they are physical, they defend, they believe in those things, and then offensively, their spacing is immaculate, and they attack you from a lot of different areas. Obviously Johnny Zuzang and some of those other guys are really, really good, but they understand how to play, and not only do they understand it, they're bought in. And that's the crazy thing about it is, you look at Houston, you look at Baylor, and then you look at Gonzaga. To me, from a coach's perspective, I would say all 4 of those teams, they understand who they are, and they're bought into that. And then they're committed to executing it time after time after time after time again. The funny thing and the interesting thing about Gonzaga, as good as they are, like they're really good. There's no secret. I mean, they're so good. They're beating Creighton, who's the number 5 seed in the whole tournament, by 20. They're
Yeah.
that good.
They
And,
beat the crap out of USC,
yeah.
who's probably one of the top 3 teams you could say athletically in the tournament that we're
Yeah,
at.
it wasn't even close. I mean, they're beating people by 20. I think their average margin of victory in their conference or all year was something like 29. In the conference, not conference, in the tournament, it was something like 26. And I studied them a little bit. And I didn't say, I shouldn't say I studied them. I looked them up a little bit because I was curious, like what is the secret? And there is no secret. They have the best 6 players in the country in the country. I'll just say in the country. Like their 6th man was a starting probably player of the year candidate at the University of Florida. And he chose to leave there and go to Gonzaga and not start and be okay with that. And they're still really, really good. And so they have the best 6 players in the country. And that's important. But when you put these other 2 things with those that, talent, the fact that they are bought in. They don't they like they're bought in. And then the fact that they play unselfish, they're bought in from a standpoint of playing hard. Like they play it so hard. They don't rely on talent. They play really, really hard. And then the other thing is they're super unselfish. I mean, they are so unselfish, it's ridiculous. And I think anytime you have talent, you have unselfish play, and you have play hard. I don't know anybody that could beat that.
It's interesting because I actually was thinking about this before we started this show, and I was going to ask you it, and you actually kind of led into it. So I figure I'm going to ask it now since you led into it. How much, if you had to do percentages, when you look at a team like, for example, Gonzaga, Mark Few has been there for a really long time, and he's built a program. And with college basketball, it's about recruiting. How much of a team's success is the head coach, and how much of a team's success is the players? And if there is a third thing, what is it?
I would say 60-40, 60 being the players, 40 being the coach. And I only give 40% to the coach because like I tell people all the time, it doesn't matter whether you down a ball screen or whether you hard hedge a ball screen. There you can have success with both of them. You can have success multiple ways in college basketball. But I think from a concept standpoint, your team, your group has to understand what it is that you do. If you want the ball to go to middle, if you're forcing middle or you're forcing baseline, if you're a push team, whatever the concept is. So the coach has to come up with those concepts, and those fundamentals have to be routinely gone over and over again. And so I say the coach is only 40%, and I say 60% of the players, because anytime you have a player ran organization or an employee ran organization or an organization that is not necessarily ran by the CEOs and because it's ran by the people that work there,
Mhm.
it to me it just has a different level of success. Gonzaga fights like a mother trucker for their culture. Their coach gave them their culture. What works, what doesn't work, what he'll stand for or what doesn't, what he'll not stand for. But the players, if you don't do X, Y, and Z, the players are going to tell you to kick rocks or leave or that's not good enough. And so anytime you have peer to peer, that type of pressure and that type of performance, to me, it just elevates your level of success. It gives you an opportunity to be that much more successful. Now, there are certain situations where the percentages may be reversed, and the percentages may be a lot higher, coach, player. But I just think that you look at the 4 teams that are playing this weekend: Gonzaga, UCLA, Houston. Who else is there? Baylor. Like I think all of those guys are really, really sound, great coaches, but their concepts are no different. It's basketball.
Yeah.
We're talking about basketball. It's no different. But the players within the team, like you can literally watch Baylor, and their defense is built on nobody is getting to the rim. Nobody ever. And they are bought into that, and they will do anything to stop you. Anything. Everybody's helping everybody. And then conversely, just like I said, Gonzaga, Baylor on the other end, they got 5 guys on the floor, probably got about 8 or 9 guys that can really, really, really score. But they're not driven by that. They're driven by who is going to get the best shot And the best shot is determined by the basketball, and the basketball determines who's open.
Hmm.
The open guy is going to get the best shot. And they are driven by that. You can see it time and time and possession after possession after possession. Those teams are driven by that. They play hard. Now they're talented. Don't get me wrong. They're talented. It's the coach's responsibility to put that talent together and make that talent work. That's one of the reasons why I have a great deal of respect for Phil Jackson. Everybody talks about his ability to coach, and he had every coach who has, Michael Jordan and Kobe and Shaq, Scottie Pippen, they're supposed to win. No, they're not. Talented teams are harder to coach than less talented teams because the expectations of talented teams, not on the outside, on the inside, the players, they know how talented they are, but they still want what they want. And if they don't want success over everything else, then it doesn't matter.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's Steve Nash, for example, that coaching job that he's got to do right now in Brooklyn with three guys that are very, very good, but they've got to want it, and he's also got to figure it out. And he's done a decent job, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
We're gonna go into the mailbag. We're gonna do things a little bit differently.
That's
We have
all.
a couple of questions. One is from Patrick that he sent last week. And by the way, we're recording this on a Thursday.
Yes.
Apologies in advance for doing it later in the week. We've got both of us have things going on, and it's very possible this is probably going to be our last show for about a month, because we've talked about this before. I'm expecting my first son in a couple of weeks, and you've got stuff going on personally as well.
Yeah.
So I think we may take a little bit of a hiatus. We obviously went through from when we start this October, November.
Sometime in November. I think the first or second week in November.
So we went from November all the way. We're now in what month are we now? April.
Yeah.
So November to April. So we're taking a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
And then we'll get into it. And also gives us a chance to line up some guests as well.
No doubt.
So we'll my guess is that this might be the last podcast we do for about a month. So
sure.
Feel free to go back. If you missed any of the episode we did previously, we're going to try and possibly run some back. But if you missed them, go back. I mean, I highly recommend hitting up our first couple of shows. One where we talk about Dedrique and what he went through medically in the last year. So highly do recommend going back and checking those out. But let's get into the mailbag. Taylor Coaches Show at gmail.com. Patrick is the first one that hit us up. Coach Taylor, what are your first memories of the NCAA tournament?
My first memories of the NCAA tournament were probably during the game when Kyle Allman Jr. and Khalil Ahmad started to kind of take over that game. It was a nip and tuck game, and it was really, really tight. And then all of a sudden, the basket just opened up for those two guys from an offensive standpoint, and they were doing things that I've seen them do, but I hadn't seen the consistency. And it was like, okay, your turn. Okay, my turn. Your turn. My turn. Let's do it together. And that, in my opinion, is the first memory that I have from that game. The other memory is just the fan base celebrating on the floor, and this fan base really being excited for what this program had accomplished, and the players, the guys, the staff, really, really being excited. And then I always reference this as a point of that I talk a lot about, is that in the media during the press conference, they asked me a question. They talked about, the celebration, and they talked about all of the good things that were happening because we had won the game. And I vividly remember them asking that question, and I remember my answer also. I said, this does nothing but validate what we thought we could do. It validates all the times that it was dark and we were not sure that we were going in the right direction. It validates, our thought process, and it tells us that we were onto something and we were doing things the right way. And it's validation that those guys, that team in particular, that staff in particular, when they put their heads together and we connected, we were really, really, really good. And so also, even now, what it does is those memories, they fuel the fire to want to do it again. They fuel the fire to attempt what was done. And we did it a little bit the following year with a lot of the same guys. We got to the championship game, and that was cool. But like as you know, somebody showed me a video the other day of us kind of getting off the bus, going to the hotel. One of the fondest memories I have is the police escort.
Yep.
From the airport to the hotel. That to me, for whatever reason, I don't know why. I don't know. It just the police escort. It meant a lot to me.
Yeah, it was awesome. And for those of you that have not seen it happen, I actually saw it recently, and I think it was because there was someone that was part of the US government because I saw the presidential seal on a limo that came by. What they do is there's a flurry of cops and they go and they block off each on ramp. And so they'll block off the on ramp, you'll pass it on ramp in the bus, and that cop will then fly by and like go past 6 or 7 on ramps ahead and block that one so that
Yeah,
you're going, it's a straight shot. We hit zero traffic all the way from where we landed to the hotel. So yeah, that's one of my fondest memories too. That's just cool. It's just one of those things where it's like you made it.
yeah,
It's you officially made it when you have a police escort and you are yeah, you're in the dance. I mean,
yeah,
that for sure. And
yeah.
you're when you talk about Kyle and Khalil, are you referencing the Big West tournament final winning that
Yeah.
game? Or are you talking
Oh,
okay?
I was referencing that game, the actual
Yeah,
championship game
yeah.
of a 3-day tournament. Obviously, we barely got by the first game. We had to come back in the second game, and then all of a sudden, in the third game, you know, those two guys in particular, they just took over and made some things happen. I remember Jamal Smith making a huge contribution from a defensive standpoint. The game before that, I remember Dwight Ramos coming down and making a couple of free throws and making a couple of shots to help us get to where we needed to go. A very seldom used guy, but he took advantage of his time and made the most of it. There's a lot of memories like that they stick in my head and they jump out every once in a while. But I tell you that they drive me. They fuel the fire to want to get back to that point. And I think we can. I know we can. We're close. But a lot of things have to happen, and obviously you need to be lucky a little bit, but you got to be doing the right things, and I think we have enough talent to do the right things. It's just a matter of us doing those things and doing them consistently. That will take us back to there.
Did you watch a lot of college basketball growing up?
I did. I did. When I was growing up, I was in a very, very fortunate situation because ESPN was, if you can believe it, ESPN was just kind of coming on and
Mhm.
doing a little bit of their programming and trying to get things situated. And so Big Monday was a huge thing. So we had I think it was the Big East, the Big Ten, and then finished by the Big West. And so it came on at like 9 o'clock West Coast time. And so I watched all of those games. And then you had Super Tuesday. You had another Big Ten team and some other teams that were on the East Coast. And then Thursday and Saturday, obviously, the Pac-12 did their deal, and so yeah, I spent a lot of time watching a lot of college basketball, and just because I was a basketball fanatic, I wanted to learn, and I didn't know that I wanted to learn. I wanted to play at the time, and I thought I was going to do this and that, and little did I know I wasn't going to do nothing. But it
To
it was fun watching.
any when you watched the games, was there any part of you that was? I mean, you can actually. There's two parts of this. You could. Is there anything you remember growing up in terms of like I remember I would bring a radio to school and
Mhm.
listen to the games on Thursday and Fridays. Like that's one of my biggest memories of the NCAA tournament. And then
Sure.
also when you watched games growing up, was that a hey, I'm going to coach in that, and I'm eventually going to be in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, no, I like you. I did watch a lot of the college basketball in terms of like when the tournament. I probably shouldn't say this, and my kids probably aren't around, hopefully, but I didn't go to school. I would be at home watching the games,
Yep.
or
Yep.
or I'd be in the PE office that had the TV and not going to class watching the games.
Yep,
Just
I did the same thing in college. I did the same thing where I Thursday and Friday up the first
get
weekend.
out because back then and even now, but I thought for me as a guy that was never a part of that but wanted to be a part of that, there was a certain level of pageantry for the game and for those moments, but also like, the guys you looked up to, the guys you played summer ball against, those were the guys that you were watching in the tournament. And so it had a different level of respect that I carried for those guys. And no, never did I think I would be coaching. Never did I want to say I would be coaching because at that time I was playing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wanted to play in the tournament. I thought I was going to be playing pro, and I was in my mind, I wanted to be a businessman, and I wanted to have my own shoe and market that and all of that stuff. So playing basketball wasn't, or even let alone coaching. Like coaching, you have to understand. My dad was a coach, so me coaching, that was the farthest thing from my mind. I want to get as far away from my pop as I could. Like I didn't want to be in his shadow because growing up, I was little Ed or I was Ed's son. And so to me, I'm like, nah, that dude's cool, but I want to do my own thing, you know? So coaching wasn't something that I thought I would be doing now. And you know, as luck would have it, or as God would have it, I should say, as God would have it, um, I am doing what I've been ordained to do,
Yeah.
which is I heard a quote and it hit me like a ton of bricks, and it really, really represents what I believe in. It says this: I'm not here to change you. I am here to provide the space that allows change to happen.
Hmm.
And that to me, like that hit me like that's the essence of why I coach. That's the essence of why I'm trying to, or I want to get into some of the other business ventures that we're embarking upon, because it is coaching, it's defined as coaching, but that definition that I gave you, that's who I am and that's who I want to be. I'm not here to change you. I'm not here to argue that what's right or whether you believe. I'm only here to provide this space that you can confirm that you think that's right. Or you are saying, you know what, that's not right. Let me look at this. I'm
Yeah.
here to provide, I want to provide the space that allows change to happen. That to me is what I do. That's what coaching is.
That's good. That's good. Let's move to the next one from Tim Vincent, our dude. He goes, "Hi, Coach Dedrique. I know it's a long way off, but I had a question about scheduling and specifically the preseason schedule. Who's involved in determining who the team plays and how does that work? Also, is there a chance for a tournament for the team to play in? My wife and I had a chance to go to the Myrtle Beach Classic a few years ago to watch your team, and it was an awesome experience."
Yeah, yeah. Scheduling is I would say scheduling is like 1B, because 1A is recruiting. And then 1B is scheduling, and who's involved in those tournaments. I mean, it's a who's who, it's everybody. And everybody is trying to get either they're trying to do one of two things. They're either trying to get wins or they're trying to get money. Sometimes, but they're trying to do both. And that's what drives those tournaments. So that's why you'll see, you know, Cal State Fullerton playing in the Myrtle Beach Classic against a Wake Forest or against, you know, some of those ACC teams or SEC teams or Big 12 teams, Big 10 teams. You know, for instance, you know, on our campus, they used to have the wooden legacy. And, you know, it would be somebody from the Pac-10, somebody from the ACC, somebody from the SEC, and then us. And we'd be like, you want me to what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, that's how it happens. And it's a who's who. Like on my phone right now, there's 97 different people that are calling trying to figure out scheduling and trying to organize scheduling. And so, you know, it's like recruiting. It changes every second of every day. And if you're not on top of it, you're behind it.
So you're
And
trying to get into a tournament, I assume.
yeah, we're trying to get an MTE. We're trying to get into that. And there are different people out there that organize those events all across the country. There are certain schools that host their own events. Just trying to make it make sense for us from a traveling standpoint, from a monetary standpoint, but more importantly, from a winning standpoint. You know, a lot of the MTEs have gone to the 3-game format. And so if we can take advantage of those 3 games, however they are, and be better for it, you know, we want to do that. If we can take advantage of the format, a 3-game in 3 days or a 3-game in 4 days, it is a replica of what happens, you know, at the end of the season. And so a lot of teams use those events to see where they are and then try to get better incrementally so that at the end of the year they can be better for that. And so scheduling is something that you know it's ever evolving. It's always something.
And we'll provide updates obviously on that throughout the offseason. That's one thing is we'll kind of go through and see what's on tap and how that works. We'll go deeper
Sure.
into that. That's a good question by you, Tim. Well, we somehow have almost hit 30 minutes, but I want to get into one more thing and we'll
Yeah.
go more in depth into it during the off season, during the summer. And
Sure.
that's creating your own website.
Yeah.
DedrickTaylor.com. Why did you decide to create your own website and what are you hoping to accomplish?
Um, Literally, I created my own website because I think there's a lot of things that we want to do, a lot of ideas that are out there, not out there, they're in my mind, you know, or we talk to different people and we want to create these, you know, we want to create the avenue for people to connect. We want to create the avenue for people to develop and people to get better, no matter what their field is, We want them to get better. That's what drives me personally. And so I wanted to try to create an avenue that allows people to do that in various forms, whether it's camps, whether it's webinars, whether it's
See, it's someone calling. They want to hit you up. They want to find out a tournament, man. That they're trying to get you involved.
that's what it is. I mean, that's all that stuff. That's literally I think the saying is necessity, or need creates necessity.
Yeah.
So people need and want the information that we're attracted, or we have, or can get for them, and so they want it. And so what I wanted to do is people that don't know me, people that don't have access to me, they can either get access to me through the website, or they can go and get some of the information. One of the things, working with my business partner, Brad Williams, that I noticed is like there's a lot of repetition. There's a lot of me saying the same things over and over and over again. So instead of doing that for one person, let's try to create that same sensation for 40 people and give it to them. Let's try and create the opportunity for them to network. Let's try to create the opportunity for them to connect. Let's try to create the opportunity for them to get better. And then I want to go back to something that I said earlier. I want to be able to create the space for change to happen. Mm-hmm. Because I firmly believe if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. You never stay the same. And so that's literally why we created the site. And I think there's a host of things that we want to do with the site, like the t-shirts, sending those t-shirts out to all of the Black head coaches that coach Division I. That's an idea that we have. Some of the other things that are out there is, the Think Tank webinar, trying to provide some of the information that helps college be better. College basketball. How do you get to the college level? How do you move around? How do you take care of your finances? All of that information I wanted to be able to share with people that don't know me or don't have access to me. And so I think the website is kind of the hub of those things, and it gives people an opportunity to do that.
And it also is going to be kind of paired with your social media, where stuff
Yeah.
you'll be tweeting stuff out and
Yeah.
all that in terms of motivation stuff and just who you are, everything about you, and also what you want to kind of become.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that definitely. And this word motivation, I'm having a hard time with it. I watched John Mosley, Last Chance U, and anybody that watches this, if you haven't watched Last Chance U with Coach Mosley featuring East LA basketball, you're doing yourself a major disservice. You should watch it. But he talked about everybody's running around saying, let's go. And why are we going now? That should drive us. That should fuel us. Like, don't wait till something good happens or wait till something bad happens and then you need to go. Let's go right now. Let's do it. So I'm having this tussle with motivational speaking. If I got to motivate you, I probably don't want to have anything to do with you. I don't. And I was reading a book. I think it's called The $1 Trillion Coach. Again, Jason Wells is a guy that turned me on to that book through Ashley Preston, our volleyball coach, and Brad Williams, my business partner, turned me on to that book. And so one of the things that I thought was really, really fascinating is that centered around a little bit of the motivation, like coach those that want to be coached. Coach those that want to be coached. Like, and again, it's something that hit me like a ton of bricks. Duh, that's obvious. But we spend a lot of our time coaching people that don't want to be coached, that don't want to be better. Those people are out there. And those are the people that I don't want to have anything to do with. Unfortunately or fortunately, however you want. I'm not going to spend my time with them, and because they don't want it. And that's cool. But I want to coach those. I want to be around those people that want to try to get better. And so those people, I don't know. I'm not saying that they don't need motivation, but I don't know. Sometimes we all need motivation, but how do you get it? A motivational speaker? I don't know. We haven't defined that part of it yet.
Interesting. And so we'll be building on that throughout this entire off season. Remember, you can always hit us up, dtailorcoachesshow@gmail.com. We probably will be taking a bit of a hiatus if you missed that earlier in the show. But you can always reach me at BD Marcus. Of course, I just mentioned the email, dtailorcoachesshow@gmail.com. And also Coach is on Twitter as well. And I believe it's CSF Coach Taylor. I don't want to mess those up, or Dedrique
Yeah,
Taylor.
you messed that up. I
I
think
did
it's
mess it
Dedrique.
up. It's
Yeah,
at Dedrique Taylor. Yeah, it's at Dedrique Taylor. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
We changed that and just try to make it, easy to find me.
Yeah. So at BD Marcus is mine, at Dedrique Taylor is Coaches. Most likely we'll be taking a short hiatus, but we will be back and we will have good guests, more content, and everything for you, the listener, the viewer, whether you're on YouTube or whether you're listening as a podcast version. We always say it, but really do thank you for supporting this podcast and listening. It should be fun. We'll continue to make it better, of course, as the off season goes. So
Definitely. No, I'm
until
looking
next
forward
time,
to
go
it.
ahead.
I'm looking forward to it. And I want to say, before you say till next time, I want to say the next time that we are live, you will be a dad. You will be a dad. And I cannot wait to see that. I cannot wait to experience that. I cannot wait to send my energy towards your family, just because I'm super, super excited and pumped for you guys, and anxious to hear about some of the trials, tribulations, and some of the fun times that happen. But sleep as you know it,
Yep.
be no more. No more.
Oh man, my clean shirts as I know it, as they get spit
No,
up on, they're gone. My sleep as I know it is all gone.
nothing. We'll probably be doing this at like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yep, and your ass will be up.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I'll be wide awake. I'll be ready to rock and roll, but you'll be dragging probably because you're trying to figure out how do people function at this time of night. My baby just let me go to sleep, and yeah, it's gonna get rough. It's gonna
Oh
get
man,
rough.
I'll hit
I'm
you up
here
at
for it.
5 a.m. as you're about to go on the golf course.
Yeah.
You doing
Yep. I'm here for all of that. I'll be out there looking for my golf balls. It'll be great.
Oh man, yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate that, and it's
Yeah.
going to be fun, and I appreciate you as always.
Yeah.
So until next time, I'm Brandon Marcus. He's Dedrique Taylor, the coach of Cal State Fullerton. Have a good one, everybody.
Peace. See you.